So the first chart is called a check sheet, and it's similar to what you folks may be using during the 60-second challenges. Similar to the 1, 2, 3, 4 slash, give you 5, easily counted in blocks. But this form is far too simple to take any time with, so we're going to skip that and start with the run chart. And the run chart is a graph that displays observed data in a time sequence. And we can see at a glance what that means, because if we look at the number of payment errors on the left or y-axis and the dates in the month of March on the bottom here on the x-axis, at a glance, we can see that every 7 days, there's a peak in the number of payment errors. So rather than just look at numbers in a table, here we can see graphically that there's a problem. Dropping down to control charts, it's very similar to the run chart, except there are upper and lower specification limits as well as a median. And this is useful in a manufacturing sense because we can see at a glance that one of the lots down here on the bottom exceeded the upper specification limit. And as a result, if we're manufacturing widgets, we could go back in and look at that lot and make sure that that the specification limit that was exceeded didn't impact too greatly the lot of widgets that we manufactured. And if it did, then we pull them. Moving down to page 25, I'm actually going to shift over to a slide because it's easier to see. This one's on its side. So a trend analysis has a number of things going on. On the left side, we see the number of unemployment cases. And on the bottom, we see the a 20-year period broken up into 6-month increments. And on the right side, we have the unemployment rate. And we can see the interplay between this gold and these gold and blue lines here. Gold are cases and the blue is the unemployment rate. And into this mix, we add the federal TANF program and the California CalWORKS program as milestones here on the left. So by adding those, we can see at a glance that there may have been an impact from the introduction of those programs on the unemployment rate, the number of cases, potentially. So that is a trend analysis. Now I'm going to stop sharing and go back to the PDF to page 26. And we've got a couple of bar charts there. First bar chart has to do with the racial makeup of California. And we can see from the 70s up until 2012 that the racial makeup has changed using these bars here. And then we have another set of bars, the share of population with advanced degrees. And here's a comparison between the US as a whole, California, and then 4 California cities. And we can see the graduation rates from high school and college here. We're going to zip on by page 27 and go right to page 28. And here we have something called a Pareto chart, which is essentially a bar chart, but it's added to it is this line. This line is the cumulative percentage line. So all it means is that when we add up the percentage of late arrivals by reported cause, starting with traffic and then adding childcare, public transportation, et cetera, we see this line increase. So if traffic represents, let's say, 35% and childcare represents 25%, then that would mean that the total of the two is equivalent to 60% of the total number of reported causes, which we see on this line here. So that's all this line is. It's just accumulating the percentages of the causes and then eventually adds up to 100%. And on the left here are the total number of late arrival reported causes. So there's 168 excuses why people were late. And then down here are the definitions for each of these bars. Now, one of the things that's missing on these bars is the actual information, the number of actual causes per reported cause and number of incidents and its related percentage. It doesn't exist here. So we have to guess in this example that traffic represents like 55-ish% and maybe 35-ish% of the total number of reported causes. We don't want ish when we're looking at data. We don't need ishes. So what we do here, it should have been done, is that the bar should indicate the actual number reported and the corresponding percentage. You just add a note here or drop it down underneath the explanation, the label for this cause, and just identify it's exactly this many reported causes, and that represents this much percentage of the total. So that's what you're trying to do here, and to improve this particular chart.